As humans, our hands are our most powerful tool. I'm not talking about stretching, mobilizing, or massaging a patient. I'm referring to the therapeutic contact that we make with our peers on a daily basis. This may sound obvious, but you can't get any closer to someone than touching them. Humans are innately social beings that make strong emotional bonds. Take a minute and just think about all the people that are close to you in your life. Your parents, siblings, cousins, your patients. The massive list of people that you are close with is so much longer than you think. Take a minute and think about the contact that you make with these people. It can range from a handshake to a hug, a light squeeze of the upper trap, or just a gentle touch of the forearm. There's a time, place, and person for every kind of touch. Subconsciously, we use these nonverbal gestures to show things that we feel as the administrator of touch. Hello. I'm so sorry. Let's get going. The wrong touch can elicit an unintended emotional response. Not every touch is right for every person. The goal of our presentation today is to take a subconscious action and turn it into a conscious response to the people around us. As people, and even more as clinicians, it is important to understand the concept behind our most powerful tool.
As Paul referenced, physical contact leads to specific physiological responses in the body. Touch impulses travel up your peripheral nerves, into your spinal cord, and finally up to the brain. There are four main types of receptors in the human brain: mechanoreceptors, thermoreceptors, nociceptors for pain, as well as proprioceptors that are in joints and musculotendinous structures. In the scope of pain, theories exist that link touch to a role in pain inhibition. These neurons that sense pain are multimodal, which mean they respond to pain as well as touch impulses, which feeds right directly into the gate control theory. This theory is essentially a race between these two different types of impulses into the single lane ascending pathway into the brain. And whichever impulse wins is a sensation that's perceived. In one study, touch decreased the sensitivity of pain receptors, implying a functional loss of information in the ascending pain pathway. Touch also created a negative bias to perceive pain as less painful after there is a painful stimuli, and even absent when touch was co-applied with a painful stimulus. These ideas are crucial to understanding patient treatment as well as the power of touch. In addition, touch can evoke emotional responses in the human body. Touch and temperature impulses ascend to the thalamus, hypothalamus, and amygdala in the brain, which are the main control centers for emotion and emotional memory. Once they get there, they release many chemicals, one of which is oxytocin, which is, it heavily influences stress levels, empathy, and compassion, just to name a few emotions. Dr. Keltner once said, "Touch is the primary language of compassion and the primary means of spreading it." In one study, a participant was given a list of emotions to try and convey to a participant on the other side of a barrier, strictly through touch. Compassion was accurately conveyed 60% of the time, while the chance of guessing the emotion by chance was only 8%. To sum that up, humans are very good at knowing the emotion behind a specific touch. Compassion remains a core value of the APTA, and it is defined as the desire to identify with or sense something in another's experience. Compassion can help understand an individual's perspective, communicating nonverbally, empowering patients, and getting a sense of their overall emotional state. All these psychosocial aspects of patient care can be heavily influenced and understood through the power of touch.
Now, Tom just mentioned a very important word, which is language. Okay. Now, touch at its core, what is it if not just a language that's conveyed by physical means? So, just as a verbal conversation has the ability to, a physical conversation has the ability to guide an interaction, between one, two, however many people you can think of. And the form of touch, or how it's felt, can have an immediate or even observed effect on someone's mental, emotional, and physical state. Now, it's important to realize when you're having a physical conversation, when you're touching someone, it's a two-sided coin. It's a two-way street. You're going to talk to them, they're going to talk to you. Their body's response is going to send something back to you. It's not just what you're putting out there. So say, for example, you're going to touch someone's shoulder, right? Their body is going to tell you something. Based on their response, you have to think in your head what's going on in that person. So responses, may include tensing up, relaxing, or shaking. These are all mediums of communication that are where the patient or person you're touching is exposing their feelings to you, and those could be anger, comfort, or relief, any of those things, all the above. The thing is, you're not going to be able to feel these things unless you're ready and willing to kind of interpret what that person's body is saying to you. Now, as we've all probably seen in the clinic, as we go out there, you generally have a level of comfort or trust with a patient when you get to that level where you touch them. And I want you to think back to a certain person you had, someone you had no problem touching. You knew it was perfectly okay. You had that level of comfort and trust. Did they have a pretty positive episode of care with you? And did they maybe even advance a little quicker than people you didn't have that relationship with? So, as we've learned in a number of classes here, physical and emotional health directly correlate with physical health. Trust is a language. We go out there and we're ready to apply those physical interventions and then provide our verbal explanation of what's going to happen to reach a best possible outcome for our patient. It's kind of what we learn. Why don't we provide kind of a physical explanation of what's going on? Why don't we use our hands to transmit kind of a reassurance or a sense of unity and working towards a common goal? The principle of the power of touch has kind of been understood for a long time across the world, across centuries. And Michelangelo once said, "To touch is to give life," as seen in his Creation of Adam painting. I'm pretty sure almost all of us have seen this. And we have a very unique opportunity as physical therapists in the future. We're going to touch the lives, literally, of everyone that we work with. So it's important to understand that, and at the same time kind of recognize that there are differences in how people feel about touch.
When we see our patients in the clinic, some cultures, genders, or even age differences may exist. Many cultures view touch differently. For example, people from the Middle East deriving from Muslim heritage are not allowed to touch the opposite sex. People stemming from Japanese heritage view touching strangers as negative, as to why you often see them bow when they greet each other. Now everyone, raise your left hand. People from the Middle East view the left hand as the hygiene hand and should not be used when greeting and or touching someone else. Touch can often be taken the wrong way. Patients who have been physically or sexually abused may take touch as a threat. Patients may also view touch as a sexual implicit behavior compared to just showing empathy and compassion. Females are more likely to view touch as a sexual implicit behavior compared to males. Males tend to display same-sex touch avoidance, while females display opposite-sex touch avoidance. Certain ages can also benefit from the healing power of touch. The elderly were seen to improve in physical status, decrease in behavioral markers such as worry, and functional ability increases due to touch. Overall, throughout many studies, the power of touch can accomplish many tasks. Patients were seen to have less stress, anxiety, and pain, accelerated healing, and a greater sense of well-being. Patients also reported greater quality of life, physically, emotionally, relationally, and spiritually. What we came up with today is nothing you can't think of about yourself. Using compassion, along with a touch, can help the therapist by recognizing and refraining from acting on one's social, cultural, gender, or sexual biases. In every situation, you need to use your own judgment to determine the right touch for every individual patient.